I had been coming up to my lakeside cabin more frequently than usual that summer, enjoying the peace between deployments and spending time fishing, hiking, and catching up on repairs. Apparently, my presence didn't sit well with Karen, the self-appointed neighborhood watchdog and HOA vice president, who considered herself guardian of every property within a mile radius, even those like mine that weren't under HOA control. At first, it was just nosy glances from across the road, but soon she started stopping her SUV in front of my driveway for long stretches, clearly taking notes. One afternoon, as I was unloading groceries from my truck, she marched up, clipboard in hand, demanded to know why a man like me was always up here and whether I had permission to use the cabin. I told her it had been in my family for generations and that I didn't answer to the HOA, but she gave a tight smile and stalked off without a word. 2 days later, as I sat on the porch sipping coffee, I heard sirens in the distance. Moments later, a police cruiser pulled up and Karen stepped out from her car behind it, arms folded, smirking like she'd just won a prize. She loudly declared to the officer that she suspected I was living here illegally and possibly squatting, pointing to my truck and claiming she'd seen me too often for it to be normal. I stayed seated, calm, watching the officer approach. He was a tall man in his early 40s, with a solid build and a steady gaze, but as he got closer, I saw a flicker of recognition cross his face. Then, in a moment that made Karen's jaw nearly hit the gravel, the officer came to a full stop, straightened his posture, and gave me a crisp salute. "Good to see you again, Lieutenant General," he said, his voice respectful. I returned the salute casually, standing to shake his hand. Karen's smirk melted into confusion, then horror, as the officer turned to her and said, "Ma'am, this man owns this property and has every right to be here. You, however, are bordering on harassment." She tried to stammer something about just doing her duty, but the officer cut her off, warning her that further false reports could lead to charges. Without another word, she retreated to her SUV, avoiding eye contact as she sped away. The officer and I shared a brief laugh, and he told me to call him directly if she ever caused trouble again. As his cruiser disappeared down the road, I went back to my porch, coffee in hand, the lake shimmering in the afternoon sun, knowing Karen wouldn't be so quick to question me or my right to be here ever again.